Well, I finally got around to using my horizontal mortise machine, and I just want to show you a jig that I made for it. I make these folding step stools. That one there is made out of oak, and I've made a few out of cherry and pine, and they all work very well. And I wanted to make a couple of jigs to make it easier so I could set this thing up and whip out a bunch of parts. So I come up with this jig. All it is a box. Okay, as you can see, it's just a box. And it fits over the table of the horizontal mortise machine. And you set it up where you need it. And then you clamp it with two clamps on either end. I relieve this so the clamps I can get on and off pretty easy. There's a spot here for a clamp, and I made it so this clamp comes out easy without getting caught up on anything. This is where your work comes in. You clamp it right here. And this is for doing the mortise at the end of your boards. Okay, and you can set all your adjustments up, your height and everything for that, and you just do all your pieces all at one time, flip them around the other way and do the others. What this is here is to hold my vacuum. It's on a hinge. Actually, that's my son's idea. You just slide your hose in to your vac, and that's right there to pick up some of the chips. It doesn't get them all, it gets most of them, but that's a pretty neat idea that he had, so I can move this out of the way, because this is a multi-operation jig. It actually does three things. It'll also do the face mortises on the legs. I'll show you that in the next video clip. Okay, this is the same jig, and instead of doing the end mortises like that, now I want to do the leg mortises. Okay, so now I use the face of this jig, and you take, this is the left side stop. Okay, you can see that. And I have it so I can mount it right there. The top of your leg goes to your right, and that fits in there like that, up against your cut. Make sure they both cut at a 10-degree angle on the leg there, and everything matches up. And then you clamp it. Make sure you clamp your work. Okay, and then you do your process with your router. Make your mortise. And you take your work out. You take this left side stop in, put the right side stop in, which is a little bit longer. I got 2 dowels to hold that one in. Okay, top to the right again. And you do your mortise work. Make sure you clamp your wood again, and always wear safety glasses when you're using this machine. Okay, that takes care of that process. And now I also have a stop to do the mortise on the step. That's this mortise right here at the bottom. That goes in the left side. And I set my machine up with a pattern. I put my work against that stop. I set my bit to follow my pattern cut, and then once I have that set up, then I can cut my work and do my two sides, my two stringers for the steps. Okay, so I got this process here for doing the end mortise, doing the side mortises on the legs, and doing the mortise on your steps. Now, this jig takes care of all of those processes. Alright, now I'll show you the jig that does these mortises on the sides to accept your rails. I gotta add one more thing here. When you're doing this pattern, I like to clamp it, and I don't really have a place to clamp it when I have my stop here and I bring my work up against it. that goes up against it like that. I need to put a clamp right here. So I made this bridge to do the end mortises removable. Okay, I didn't glue that on. And you can see I have a bunch of dowels in that to hold everything in position when it's in there. And that's removable, and then I can put a clamp right here to hold this pattern in to set my solder up, and then when I put my work in I can clamp it. You need to clamp your work, that's a must. I tried it without it, it does not work. Okay, you can mess up your stock that way. Alright, on to the next one. Alright, this jig comes off. And this jig here has two stops on the bottom, one on the back side, as you can see, and one on the right side. What I do is I slide that onto my table. Okay, I need to raise this bit up a little bit. Okay. Now you're going to do your leg mortises for the top rail and the rail about 3/4 of the way down. On here I got written the top of the leg goes to the left this time, and this is a jig, so this jig goes here, this stop goes there. This is for the vacuum, to hold the vacuum. You bring your leg up against that and you clamp it and set your bit to the height, and then this is just a template, so it sets up my bit to where I want the cutter to cut, and then I do the other side, and this is for this side here, and I will clamp this table down. I have a place right here where I clamp it on both sides to secure the table, because you don't want that to move, and I also clamp my work, and again use safety glasses. This again is for the vacuum. I'll show you that. Vacuum fits in like this here, and it sucks up most of the bits. Chips, it doesn't get them all, but it sucks up most of them. Okay, so that's that operation. And I got this all laid out here. I drew it all out as to where everything goes and all the measurements to the length of the board, the width of the board, where the dowel hole goes, and I have a jig for that also, a template. This template here goes on the leg, so I know exactly where the hole goes for the pivot, for the steps to pivot on, and I just bring that up like that, and I draw a circle and I drill it out on my drill press. And that pretty much sums up how this all goes together, and it makes it easier when you have a jig, so you're not constantly measuring and trying to readjust your machine. This is a much better process. I hope it helps somebody. If you ever made one of these mortise machines, the plans are online, and you can find them on a website, and I'll put the website on the YouTube post. I'd like to add a couple of notes about the tenons. I make these on my table saw. All I do is cut it the same width as my bit and the same length as my mortise, and then I round it over with a round over bit, and I want them to fit just snug, not real tight, not too loose, and that way you'll have a good joint. You can make them out of maple or anything you want. You can make them out of, if you have light wood, you can make them out of walnut, and then you have a nice contrast. People like to see the joinery, and that will really show up if you have a contrast. There's some contrast right here. I pin the stops on both sides of the stair tread, stair stringers, and also onto the dowel, so there's no glue here at all. There's no nails, no screws, all joinery, and the limited amount of glue in spots where it's tough to get at. That way when I stain this, it'll be a nice even stain. I won't have glue to worry about. Another thing is you can also make these tenons a lot smaller. I used 1/2 inch, but I think 3/8 probably would have been fine. But I just went with the 1/2 inch for now. Next time maybe I'll make one smaller. But anyway, if this, I hope this helps anybody that's doing any of this kind of work. Having a jig makes life much more easier, and I got 2 jigs. One does 3 operations, and one does this mortise for the leg. And I just use the drill press to drill the hole for the dowel, which is for that side there, and the other side. All right, that's it. Thanks for watching. If you have any questions, just drop me a line.